Hello, hello, welcome to the Josh Volinski Show. And I again have three of my favorite people here. Mr. Walter Gambin, a very solid member of the West Side Neighborhood Alliance and the Single Room Occupancy Organization. I'm here on the upper side, and the Primal Therapy Association. So please do not be shocked if he lets out a scream or two. And then I have a wonderful filmmaker, Pamela Timmons, who hasn't told me about half the film she made, but we have one here that we're all very proud of, Clearwater Nation, the story of Clearwater and the great Pete Seeger. And we have Johnathan Rubin. He's a GAL. He'll have to explain to you what that is. And he is the vice president of Friends of Clearwater. And he is a very honest, hard-working man for very honest reform politicians. And he's been doing that for years. And in our last show, we were discussing Clearwater Nation and what a wonderful film it is, and a contribution to environmental science and a quest for a clean planet and a clean Hudson River. And before I say anything else, I would like to give my condolences to the Scream family. Karen Scream was killed 2 blocks at the corner of 86th and Amsterdam Avenue when 2 men perpetrated a robbery at the CVS corner at 86th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. And as the police were chasing the bandits, she was struck by a vehicle and crushed to death. Now, who is Karen Scream? She is the editor-in-chief of a film called The Fogs of War, the story of McNamara. And she was only 39 years old. So in a planet, in a world that's as dangerous as this, we are all in trouble until people like Pete Seeger make this a safer, cleaner, better world. What do you have to say about that, Pamela?
Well, thank goodness for Pete Seeger. Yeah, he's a hero of mine since I was a little girl, and it's been my honor to do this film featuring him. And one of the things that Pete says is that we should all join together, and if everyone does a little something, a lot gets done. So one of his ideas right now is for us to form community by bringing together a potluck supper, watching this DVD, doing a singer-song circle, and come up with some ideas on how to be more energy efficient and how to get our voices heard by people that can make changes, bring forth the clean, renewable energy. And that's what's so impressive about the Clearwater Nation and the Great Hudson River Revival Festival is that it's run by clean, renewable energy, solar panels, and it's a great lesson for us that we can use this clean energy and also be energy efficient.
Yes, you can see all this clean energy if you go to the Clearwater Festival once a year, quoted on the Hudson.
That's right.
Yeah.
In June on Father's Day weekend. It's great. Thousands of people come. There's wonderful entertainment, the arts, and you can go sailing on the Clearwater.
Yes, yes.
And if you've never done that, that is really a wonderful adventure. I recommend it for everyone.
Yeah, well, Walter, myself, and Johnathan often go to the environmental barge on the Hudson River, and they have, you know, examples of radiated heat and all that from the sun.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful exhibit if you go to the environmental barge. It's about 72nd Street and the Hudson River, and it's there most of the summer.
I don't remember doing that,
important.
Josh. 72nd and the Hudson by
yeah,
the
in
promenade
Riverside Drive. I mean, below Riverside Drive in Riverside Park.
Yeah, right. It's on the Hudson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll check that out.
And they show, I know Vicki and I went there. It was good. It was really fun. It was really fun. Now, Johnathan has really, I went to his Clearwater Festival this year on, what pier was that? Pier 23.
Pier 66, I believe.
Yeah, how did you do that?
Well,
how did you get all those
on
people
23rd
together?
Street. Well, you see, the festival was not my festival. I want to step back from that a minute. The festival was in memory of my mentor and colleague who encouraged my leadership in Clearwater, Carl Schwartz, who died an untimely death about 2 years ago at this point from many medical issues. But Carl was a zealous, energetic, never drawing back activist in so many ways, in the environmental movement, concerning weather. He also was involved in the Bernstein Fellowship, Allard K. Lowenstein Human Rights symposiums that he went to several years with me and several other people. They were very, very interesting. And it's interesting that you mentioned the Karen Scream and the McNamara films. One of the things to me that's important about government is the whistleblowers. And Pete Seeger is certainly a whistleblower, as is Daniel Ellsberg, as are a number of people who finally forced this mainstream corporate head type guy, Robert McNamara, to admit not only was there a misinformation discussion of the way we conducted the Vietnam War, but we took on a war against an entire nation, Cambodia, and bombed them with more tonnage of bombs than we did in any other war before or since. And yes, it didn't kill so many people. That wasn't what happened in the Cambodian War. It caused a civil war where they were fighting over scraps of food because we destroyed their rice crop. So Karen Scream really brought together and brought forth, you know, Mr. McNamara admitting this, which Mr. Ellsberg had to go through the humiliation to try and expose in the 70s. And it's unfortunate that our government admits these things way after they occur, but that's what a democracy is. It's not perfect.
It's too imperfect, the United States. There's too much that's being called democracy, and it's not democracy. And I really would think it would be much better if people spoke more specifically, which is hard to expect, but it'd be more accurate to call the United States a representative democracy and to use that term regularly. But I guess I don't expect that because so many people grow up so battered about looking or listening, looking as in appearing or sounding intelligent.
You know, you said it's a representative democracy, but actually about 3 weeks ago, the representative democracy was destroyed by the United States Supreme Court in this case, Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission, which at this point says corporations, foreign or American, can contribute and take away the concept of one person, one vote. It means somebody who's a corporate head of one of these big, very successful financially corporations has more power as a corporate head in a non-human form than a human being, and that's absurd.
An entity.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't agree with you 100% on that. I think it damages the amount of representation we're going to get Because representative is always a relationship of the one representative to how many people he or she is representing.
Well,
so it does damage, and I don't like it, but I wouldn't say it totally destroys
I
representation.
will give the example.
Because they can fight it. There's still a way that the Congress
Ronald
can fight it.
Ronald Lauder tried to run for mayor with about $100 million, and he lost. But in 2001, with the horror that happened downtown of the 9/11 situation, Mr. Michael Bloomberg, our current mayor, was able to basically buy the mayoralty like a seat on the stock market by outspending his grassroots people the candidate, former public advocate Mark Green. Mr. Bloomberg outspent Mr. Green about 30-1 in that campaign.
What year was that?
2001. But Mike Bloomberg is still with us today. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And Mike Bloomberg isn't a representative of this city. He's a representative of a small niche of this city, the elite, the people like Salomon Brothers and Goldman Sachs, where they took a bailout from the federal government, and then they paid their top executives something that you and I would be lucky to earn in our lifetime as a bonus for 1 year.
Yes.
Well, I've been paying attention to really what's going on here on the Upper West Side. And for a while, for a few weeks, maybe I was fooled too. I said to myself, what am I doing wrong? I'm always short of money and so on. And I have to go in and have a little McDonald's or something. And I've been paying attention. Yes, there are some, there's a restaurant that opened a few days ago where a Chinese restaurant was, and a hot dog is $14, and a hamburger is $16.
5-napkin burger, where Ollie's was.
That's right. But also, a 7-Eleven store just opened at 93rd Street in Amsterdam. They have hot dogs for $1, and they sell the weirdest pretzels for $1. And then the Subway stores are filled. And of course, McDonald's has hundreds of people. And when I go to the senior center birthday party, very often they charge, the most they charge is $2 for a meal. But on their birthday party meal every Friday, there's about 500 seniors show up for that meal, and so on. So there are thousands of people who are not doing well. And, you know, when they say that unemployment has dropped to 9.7%, what the hell are they talking about? That's still millions of people.
Well, it's worse than that, Josh. That's the number of people that they're able to actually count. There's an underground economy, number one, and then there are people who are on the outskirts of society who are not included in their calculations because they don't contact them, or they have no contact with them, as if they weren't just people like all the rest of us. For instance, in my guardian ad litem work, the current mayor really doesn't understand, as a real estate-driven person, that, you know, they're disabled people and they're senior citizens getting on in years, losing some of their faculties, who have emergencies, who need a one-shot grant so that they can stay in their apartment residence, which could be just one room. But if they stay in their residence, while they might need a $10,000 or $18,000 one-shot grant, they're saving the city $100,000. But the city doesn't understand that, you know, and you have to fight tooth and nail to get that grant for the person who even has the future ability to pay rent, because the city doesn't, in its bean counter logic of everything, understand that, well, it may cost some money today, but in the long run it will be financially beneficial to the city from keeping that person out of a shelter at the rate of $30 to $50 a night. So, you know, we really have to start caring about the people on a fixed income. There are too many people like that on a fixed income who are dependent on Social Security or pensions in some fortunate cases, or Social Security disability, to survive. They're part of our civil society, and if we don't treat them civilly, we may not have a civil society for very long.
True, true. I keep seeing, I think in primal terms. I believe that most people are functioning so far below their natural connected intelligence. We use our intellect in a way that's separate from our emotional life. And the full intensity of our emotional life is kept very much shh. Now, we all feel feelings, but the way I understand it, from Jano's work, Primal Therapy, and my own organization, the International Primal Association, and my own figurings and writings and experiences, we keep our feelings at a low key. We feel them less intensely. Feel them, and the expressive parts of our feelings, we do them much less because there are so many messages coming from everybody, largely unspoken, but some of them are spoken. We get them from early, even in the womb, I think. That's the message, it's going to bother me. Shh. All kinds of messages to shush. And it does greatly inhibit our natural emotional and intellectual integration of intelligence, our natural ability to communicate, so that some people don't care, and some people in like government and industry are inept. They're functioning at an ability that's considerably below their natural capacity.
But you see, that's the problem. We're stifling people. We're saying shh. We're saying shh right now in the voting situation. Some people have power, forgetting who, it's not important to name names. Corporations now have power. Financial services corporations, real estate corporations, insurance corporations, and banks are more important to the running of our civil society, as known as representative government, which you said before, than the people. But are we a government of those entities or factions, as Madison warned, or are we a government of people?
You mean the legislators, the official people, consider those entities or the banks and all more important?
Well, it's not only they consider them, they are elected by those entities.
Let me bring Pamela
yes, please do.
into this conversation. Now, Pamela is not only a talented filmmaker, but she's an editor of film. And
right.
Pamela spends hours at Final Cut Pro editing that film and expressing all these ideas and intellectualizing that we've been doing here. So I don't know if you'd really be able to verbalize what you do and how you do it. But would you share with us why you've chosen this art and what you love about it and how it really expresses the ideas and thoughts of humanity?
All right, I'll try to do that. Well, I was a painter to start out with, so I have developed my eye as a visual artist. And I always loved stories and also music. So the opportunity to bring that together in this new medium, digital video, was something that really excited me, and I felt like I could do it, and in fact I have. I just feel like my sense of vision has been heightened. I hear more. I have a better idea of how to bring forth a story, and to work with someone like Pete Seeger, who is just so gifted and talented and knows how to bring this forth. I just pieced together his performances with his interview, and then I had a story that is uplifting And I hope it encourages people to come together as community and make these changes that we're talking about. We tend to be very isolated with our high technology. We're behind computers or in front of sets. And as a visual artist, I thought it was a medium that I could reach people with, because it will, I mean, you can see it on the set, and then take that information and have a direct conversation with each other like we're having right now. This is real time. We're talking in real time. It's not virtual time.
That's right.
So that's kind of the message I want to bring forth to people, to, you know, take a look at this, feel good about their lives, even though things are really bad. It's an opportunity to make things better.
I also
you
think
you have to express and use your talents. For instance, I remember what Woody Guthrie said. Woody Guthrie said, "The banks are made of marble with a guard at every door, but the vaults are stuffed with silver that we have toiled for." You remember that? And here he and Pete Seeger have done it in song, and here you've done it with Final Cut Pro, video and art, and you've done it, Johnathan, with politics and activism, and Walter, you've done it with Primal therapy.
And theater.
But I also think Pamela has done something very instrumental. Right now we have the Future Environmental Leaders Legacy Project of Clearwater as a whole, and I think Pamela has really contributed to that by showing everything involved in the environmental movement, including its prophetic figure, hero Pete Seeger, to the environmental movement, but also by interweaving the native community and showing respect for the basics of life: land, water, energy, sun. It ties together things that people in our very aggressively abusive urban community don't see ordinarily, by bringing all these other concepts forward as a basis for the future environmental leaders, I believe. Very well.
That's a good point.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed, that's very, very true. And talking about Final Cut Pro, please come down to M&N and become a producer. Learn Final Cut Pro, but that might be a bit much. At least you can learn lighting, camera, production, and meet a lot of fascinating people. So time is short. You must become activists. We have to create a world with decent, affordable housing at rents we can afford. We have to put an end to this terrible violence, end the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and we can even top it off with restoring free tuition at the City University of New York. And in a rich country like this, perhaps there should be free tuition coast to coast.
Without a
so
doubt.
What do we say about that?
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Learning.
And that's the way.
If the wealthy who have all the money will let go a little and share, but that would be socialism. Boy, have they made a curse word out of that among some of the media pundits. I'm sorry to hear.
We've created a debtor's country, and it's really a shame that our students are now in debt just for getting an education. It should have never been allowed to go that way.
That's right. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. And as I say, I'm a 1945 baby. I remember 1955 more like it, when if you wanted a house, you could obtain one, even if you worked in McDonald's. If you wanted a car, you'd buy a jalopy, probably get it from an old person with a lot of mileage on the speedometer and so on, and you go to City University free of charge. And it was also a world without AIDS. And it was just, so I tell young people, they say, where are you coming from? I said, well, I'm really from another planet, 1955.
Planet 1955.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, it was just a different world. Well,
Yeah.
you think, I see the filmmaker. You think we can finish with a clip from Pamela's outstanding film, Clearwater Nation? If you could put it on.
That would be wonderful.
That would be a wonderful way to, and I want to thank Walter Gambin and Pamela Timmons and
Thanks,
Johnathan
Josh.
Rubin.
And Josh.
Yeah,
And
thank
John,
you, Josh. Thank you.
Such a great
you
program.
You put together
Shante
Eloise.
and Gloria,
And Gloria and
who's a
Eloise.
marvelous technical director.
Yes,
So
Gloria.
would
Can't
you-
get it up. Could you keep talking?
So finish with some great words.
Well, I hope that everyone has an opportunity to go to the festival this year. It's Father's Day weekend, and you can ride on the Clearwater. It's a great sail. You could hear Pete Seeger sing and lots of other very wonderful performers, artists,
Where is
activists
it,
coming
Pamela?
together. It's at Croton Point. You can take the Metro North to Croton Point, and there's buses that take you out to a wonderful state park.
Hey, Pamela, I saw on your film, I saw Pete Seeger chopping wood this morning.
Oh, yeah.
At age 90. That's what happens when you eat right. Mostly
90, huh?
vegetarian.
Wow. Right.
And have clean water and have good stretching or exercises
Yeah.
and have conversations
can I
with
add one thing?
Gloria Meza and Paula Noria.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
And a sense of purpose and motivation in life. I think that's,
Absolutely.
I have to say, that like the biggest thing.
Well, the Clearwater
right.
community does have a sense of purpose. They're
Yeah,
focused on
absolutely.
the three-legged stool
That's what I'm talking
of
about.
celebration, advocacy slightly, and education. Education is what Clearwater is about, both on the sloop and at the concerts and at every activity that Clearwater is involved in. They want people to come back to the respect of the earth, because the earth is essential for life. And water is one of the concepts that they really want to focus on, because water, unfortunately, in Latin America, South America, Asia, meaning China and India
Amen.
specifically, and Africa, water is not imparted to the people in a fair manner, both because of the corporations such as Vivendi, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and Nestle's, as well as the local leaders and the national leaders. It's not just corporations. The government is too corrupt, and it doesn't care about its own people.
Yeah.